they're going to lead here? Is Wildcard Gaming going to keep playing this Fire Mage Ellie? Or are they going to get Blizzo tagged in for game number 1? We haven't seen Blizzo yet in the circuit stage. Bergen boys, on the other hand, they might bring in Joel. Nope, they're sticking to their guns. Both sides leading with their respective compositions that we've seen to be their most powerful. Let's see how they fare head-to-head.
Here, Infernion laying down his gate already, trying to get some pressure here onto Zeepai, Monkarn as well, already getting on target. Maro looking to build up some pressure with these Greater Pyroblasts, but so far, I think they're just trying to stay back a little bit. Maro actually blinking and offensively getting Infernal stunned, so looks like Maro could be in a little bit of trouble here. We got a Blinding Light into a full sheep here onto Burley. Lightning Lasso coming out on Infernion. Infernion's going to trigger out of that one. Double Mortal Coil using the Reflector as
excuse
well.
me?
And Infernion's taking so much damage. Still
What?
down. What?
It's so what that was, Maro's actually, he's playing Memory of Lucid Dreams and the reset bracers, the Hyperthread wrist wraps. So basically, Wildcard Gaming, they came out guns a-blazing, and they were banking on a massive one-shot. And I just feel like Burley really underreacted. In that situation, it's more than fair to trade out your trinket for, the Giga Combust with Sky Fury. I think that was just, them not expecting that damage and really making a mistake. But you have to give credit to Wildcard Gaming. That was an outrageous amount of damage. As you can see it, Maro, 1.2 million damage in such a short game. Definitely explosive on that Fire Mage.
48 seconds. That is by far the quickest game we've seen all weekend. What a way to start the day. Now they're up 1 point against Bergen Boys. Bergen Boys going to be choosing their map here soon. What's their next move? I mean, clearly you guys seem to think that Bergen Boys just wasn't expecting that coming out of Wildcard Gaming. So are they going to try and just stick to the plan of what they had in game 1 here, Supatees, or what's their next move?
I mean, they're obviously going to be able to benefit from maps. I think it's obvious for going to a smaller one, so the targets will stack up easier for Monkarn. But when we're looking at the replay, I mean, you can see Lontar sits through a polymorph. He thinks he's okay because Infernion Mortal Coils. Then he uses Unending Resolve and his Hellstone, so he really thought he would be okay, I think, at that point. Maybe just Trinket Spirit Link Totem during Combustion needs to be the trade next time around. But it was obvious that they weren't ready for the Lucid Dreams, which is available to the Fire Mages. You don't often see it because running that Fire Starter to reset your Combustion on a shorter cooldown. You're usually having to play Conflict as well to be more tanky. It seems like Wildcard are actually taking more risks. Like yesterday, Maro was like blinking on top of Xset, if I'm remembering right. So they're playing a lot more aggressively, and I think teams aren't ready for it.
Do we feel like then if they're playing super aggressively, like you were saying, Sid, do we feel like this is a different Wildcard than maybe we're used to seeing?
They could be experimenting too, just seeing, as there were recent changes, right? So trying these new builds, playing more aggressively, seeing what they can get away with, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then readjust a little bit later. But that game looks solid. Is it repeatable? It could be. The main reason it could be repeatable is that Spirit Link Totem is a 3-minute cooldown. Lucid Dreams is a 2-minute cooldown. And if he dies through Unending Resolve and Hellstone, he might not die through Spirit Link, but he won't have a Spirit Link for every single Lucid Dreams. So there's going to be a little bit of a window for Maro with that timing.
And do we feel like that's really what affected them yesterday in terms of Wildcard? We saw them struggle against Xset Zico. Do we think that it's the changes that they're just kind of adjusting to at this point?
I think that what it comes down to is just Xset's RMP looks like they've been practicing it a lot during the off season, and it feels like Wildcard maybe don't have an answer for that specific team running that comp. I think most other Rogue Mage teams, Wildcard probably has a pretty good shot against, but Xset, they're just on a really high level right now.
Definitely a difficult matchup against Xset, but they're playing against Bergen Boys right now, up 1-0. Pretty solid start to this series for them. Bergen Boys now looking to pick their composition. How likely do you think that they're just going to stick with what they did in Game 1 here, Ben?
I think it's extremely likely. Honestly, I don't see them really going to any sort of cleave composition against the Elemental Shaman. Fire Mage doesn't seem like a great matchup, so likely we see the same thing, and I think Burley probably just needs to respond a little bit better to the Lucid Dreams. However, it's not likely Maro's going to be running that all the time. I mean, he really went all in for it. He was playing the Corrupted Gladiator's badge, so increasing his intellect by 4,000, basically running like a PvE rotation to do maximum damage output. But the Bergen boys, they're going to be looking to prove me wrong, going to a small map, walking in the Windwalker Death Knight. But I can't say I feel like this is a favorable matchup for them. I think Wildcard Gaming is going to be pretty happy with this one on Hook Point.
What do we think about the Unholy DK? I think that's the first time we've seen a Death Knight all weekend, Sid.
I was surprised they didn't go Frost if they wanted to try and do some Heartstop Delirium on the Mage. Going Unholy is a little bit more safe. You don't need to rely on the Chill Streak setup. So they might be looking to try and drag this game and win on mana. I'm wondering what they're going to do. If they're going to split DPS, if they're going to go Mage, pull Elemental Shaman, go Mage, pull Paladin. They have a couple of options there. I think it would be unwise to tunnel the Paladin. So it's likely that they're just going to be switching between the Mage and the Shaman, trying to win on mana. It's going to be tough, though. However, Joel and Monkarn, I feel like this is the composition that they had the most success with throughout the entire year. Playing together was the Windwalker Death Knight. So you may as well go to a map that is best suited for it. It was your best results. So give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, then get Infernion back in and go from there.
All right, well, we'll find out shortly here. Windwalker DK showing up here on the side of Bergen Boys. Chose that map on Hook Point. Are we surprised at all, though, that they went with this comp with Hook Point? I mean, it seems like you guys thought that Bergen Boys was going to play that same composition in Game 2 as we saw in Game 1. They chose Hook Point. They went with this comp. Do we like this choice, Zico?
It honestly just comes down to what their strategy is. There's always an upside and a downside with a map like this. Clear downside is of course going to be the Paladin just has very short distance to run to start chaining those CCs like we saw last game, with the Blinding Light into the Sheep, etc. But the good thing is that they could actually go for a Paladin all-in, for example, on a map like this, and he's not going to have that much space to move around on. You're always close to a pillar, so Maru is not going to be, as scary as he was in game number 1. So it just depends on how they use it and also how Wildcard uses it. If Wildcard starts setting up like swaps to Lontar, I think that could also be pretty big for them on this map.
Who do you think can we take any guesses on who their focus target is then on Wildcard Gaming?
Monk. Maybe DK late, but I think Monk and Shaman early on.
For Wildcard though, like Bergen Boys, who are they going to try and target there on Wildcard?
With this map, I would like to see them go for healer.
Okay. Wildcard Gaming versus Bergen Boys. Bergen Boys trying to focus the healer, Zico thinks. Ben, what about you? What's their strategy?
For the Bergen Boys, likely just going to be trying to shut down Morrow as much as possible. I think going after Zipa is going to be really difficult. I mean, potentially if they go with like a Tiger Eye Brew build, they might be able to attack him a little bit later on, and that also opens up Looney as a target. So I think that does give them a little bit of flexibility, but it's just the reason I don't like this matchup very much is because Wildcard Gaming, with the Hammer of Justice and the Lightning Lasso, we're going to be able to do big one-shots on either the Shaman or the Windwalker Monk, or even the Death Knight, honestly, if they end up trading anti-magic shell a little bit reckless. I just feel like Wildcard Gaming, they have a lot of options in this matchup, and for the Bergen Boys, their path to victory isn't so clear.
Yeah, and that first game, like we were saying, only lasted like 50 seconds, basically the shortest game we've seen all weekend. How do we feel about this matchup in terms of length? I mean, we're seeing some of these games, it's been a bit of back and forth, I feel like. If we look at Saturday, if we take a look at how long those games lasted, some of them didn't go to dampening, some of them went fairly deep into dampening. Do we want to make any predictions, Supatis, on if we'll see dampening in this game or in this series at all if they continue to play these comps?
I mean, I think Morrow's going to run Conflict, so he takes less damage in the leg sweep burst windows. And then the Bergen Boys bringing the Death Knight, they get anti-magic zone, so they can trade that pretty comfortably for the Fire Mage cooldown combustion. So with these kind of talent adaptations and the class utility, this is a matchup that could go on for some time. I mean, Wizard Cleaves generally have long games. I feel like the only time Wizard Cleaves don't have long games is if they're fighting Rogue Mage or some type of melee mage. But in this particular matchup, I would say it is notorious for going on for some time. Hook Point might make it a little bit short because it's such a small map. Maybe Looney doesn't get to drink as often, or they swap to him, or they're able to tunnel him down. I really want to see Morrow play Greater Pyro, so that if they do decide to do the tunnel Looney strat, he's going to have a threat. And then if he does do that, I don't know. I feel like Wildcard Gaming have great answers for Bergen boys overall.
Yeah, for sure, intimidating to play against Wildcard Gaming, especially with Maro and Zeepai on their respective classes. But the gates are now open. It is Wildcard Gaming versus Bergen boys, 1-0.
Yeah, and it does look like they are going to be just going after Looney right away. Monkarn getting a little bit aggressive, but it looks like Zeepai will be the main target. Just a little bit of a poke onto Looney. Full hammer of justice, and let's see what Wildcard Gaming is going to be able to get done. Big damage on Zeepai very early on, so it looks like they are going to be going after the Shaman with the Tiger Eye Brew. Lots of magic damage available for Joel and Monkarn, but now the full Polymorph secured. Actually, Polymorph stolen, so Looney's in a Polymorph. Unfortunately, he was in a sacrifice. Joel's just getting absolutely destroyed. That is anti-magic shell, anti-magic zone, basically everything, except Burley's Trinket, which is very important. But that was the big combustion. I'm going to check if he is playing that Memory of Lucid Dreams once again.
He is.
It is
Oh
absolutely devastating. Trinket, Spirit Link, and this is what I'm talking about. Wildcard Gaming, absolute domination very early on.
Are you kidding right now? That's Icebound Fortitude, that's Anti-Magic Zone, that's Spirit Link Totem, that's Clarius Medallion. I mean, at least they're alive. I guess that's better than game one, but it's pretty much everything else. I didn't actually expect the Death Knight to be this easy to take out. Joel's retreating to the pillar. Burley's trying to get back there, but he's intercepted by the Lightning Lasso. Greater Pyroblast. They stop the Greater Pyroblast, but he's still in a stun lock. Getting blasted down by Zeepai. Everybody caught in the Dragon's Breath. Burley looking to get back to the pillar, but now they're switching their attention to Joel. The power here is just endless right now. Joel is never getting back to full health. This is very surprising. Huge damage from Zeepai. Dark Sim activated by Joel, trying to find a polymorph. I don't think Maro gave it to him. Ring of Frost off of Frost Nova. Cheeky play there by Maro. Blinking with the Greater Pyro and a Blessing of Protection, gets gripped on it. Looking for another polymorph. This could just be it for Joel. And a Magic Shell on 10%, but there's still more crowd control. One Death Strike. Looking for a second one. He really needs it. Doesn't get it. And this is absolutely crazy. Wildcard Gaming closing this game out in less than 2 minutes on the Bergen boys' best map.
If Wildcard continues at the rate they're going, this might end up being the shortest series we've seen all weekend, Ben.
I think you could absolutely be right about that, but I just feel like the Bergen boys, they made a big mistake. I think game number one, they got thrown off quite a bit with what ended up happening to the Warlock. I think they should have just tried to shake that off and try again, because I think the Fire Mage Elemental Shaman Paladin is exceptionally good into cleave compositions. So locking in Windwalker Death Knight, I think, was just kind of throwing the match, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it just didn't seem like there was any moment there where Joel looked stable at all. Wildcard Gaming just went so hard after Bergen boys, and they closed it out in under 2 minutes, Zico. Was that kind of how we thought that would go? I mean, what's their... There's no way they play that game, that comp for game 3, right?
I doubt it. I think I was kind of expecting a wild card win there, but not that fast. I thought that the game was gonna drag on for a little bit. You know, they have a lot of defensive options on the side of Bergen boys, so I thought that would be enough, but they decided to do a little split in the start, going after Zeepai, going after Looney. Obviously, Maru is going to be free. Maru is going to land crowd control, and that's when you're going to be forcing all of those cooldowns. And I think Bergen boys actually responded a little bit late, so they had to use multiple cooldowns as well early on.
All right, so Bergen boys now down 2-0. This is a best-of-5 series, but it is a round-robin format, so if they lose this game, they're not out of the tournament. This is just how this format is going to go. There is no bracket for this tournament, but they played that game one, Bergen boys. They had that Windwalker lock, Supatis. Do you think that it's probably just a better idea that they go back to that and maybe they just swapped off that comp too early?
I mean, I feel like Destruction Warlock isn't a bad pick in a spell cleave. I mean, I would consider it like the best caster when it comes down to Wizard Wars. So I don't see why you wouldn't want to have a Destruction Warlock. They just kind of got overwhelmed by the Lucid Dreams. I think if they had another time around at it, that it would be a little bit less likely that it happens. With Nether Ward and Grounding Totem, and I feel like if they rotate Unending Resolve or Spirit Link Totem for every Lucid Dreams, then they should be able to extend the game later into Dampening, and then they can look for like bursted kills with the Windwalker, Drestagath onto the Mage, Fears on the Paladin. I think the Destruction Warlock, it has to be a better choice overall. Melee Cleaves into Wildcard, there's no way it's a good choice There's no way. If anything, they can go Maro into Boom Kim, and that's what they were playing. And I'm pretty sure they have like 100% win rate as Moonkin Ellie into melee cleaves. So they still have that. Like they're not even playing that. So if I'm the Bergen boys, I feel like you have to play Warlock, Windwalker for the rest of this, but they're not. I guess they're not even going to go Frost. Not even. I feel like the Unholy is just.
Would
not
Frost be better
enough.
at least over the Unholy?
I think it's
I
a little bit
don't
more
think so.
threatening. I mean, it's
No.
I
hard.
don't think so.
Frost against casters just gets kind of, I don't know, doesn't get that much uptime.
Well,
especially casters with freedom,
I
also
think-
because of the DK nerf.
Yeah, the DK nerf is the biggest one. The nerf to hard stop aura affecting Gladiator's Medallion. Wildcard Gaming with the Paladin will be able to rotate every single time. And the thing is, Frost Death Knight training at Mage is normally a nightmare. You know, Shimmer ends up being a really long cooldown with hard stop aura and Delirium, but with Blessing of Freedom, it's not nearly as scary. So I don't think it would be a great option for the Bergen boys, but I don't believe in the Windwalker Death Knight into what Wildcard Gaming is running. I think Wildcard Gaming has a big compositional advantage, but we'll see. I think the Bergen boys, one of the things they keep it better is the anti-magic zone was way too slow. Like it should just be, you see combustion, anti-magic zone every single time you line it up, and it's basically a solid counter to the Memory of Lucid Dreams build.
Who was the person that originally noticed that all of the series yesterday were won by mages?
Me.
Ah,
Pretty sure it was me.
I don't even
I
remember.
think
One of you guys.
I think I said it jokingly, and then we like looked it up.
But you were right. Well, we're currently continuing on that trend. If this series continues in the way that it's been going, Wildcard Gaming up 2-0 currently against Bergen boys, and obviously, just every series, like we were saying, was won yesterday by a mage. So we'll have to see how long that lasts today. But it sounds like the teams are ready. Gates are opening soon here on Dalaran Sewers. It is Wildcard Gaming versus Bergen boys. Bergen boys looking to not get closed out with the 3-0 versus Wildcard Gaming.
All
See
right,
if they
gates
can-
are about to open here. I don't know if that same strategy is going to work out. I want to see something different here from the Bergen boys. Maybe Looney all in is what I wanted to see last game, and it looks like they might be going for it. Greater Pyroblast, Poly both interrupted, and Looney, look at his position. He's already on the opposite side of the map. Ring of Frost secured, no interrupts for this. Maro's going to have to get stunned, and Ring of Peace. Deepak going after Monkarn with that lasso. Doing a decent job here with the damage. Not forcing out anything just yet, though. No touch of Karma. Now finally gets connected onto Looney. He pops the Karma
well,
and the
Pyro,
next sweep.
it's over.
Monkarn.
It's over.
Relax, Eco.
What am I gonna do, man? Like,
Oh my gosh. That was 10 seconds faster than the first game.
nope.
Oh
A
goodness.
run for their money.
That is
A run for their
Definitely
money. That was definitely
rough.
a run for their money. You know? Bergen boys gave them a run for their money. I said it before the series. That was definitely a run for their money.
Solid
right, well-
predictions there, Sid.
Wildcard Gaming 3-0ing Bergen boys. It hasn't even